Carnival is color, carnival is mass. But do we understand the origins of our carnival celebration? Do we as a people know the origins of our street march on Carnival Monday and Tuesday, and where the entire celebration derived from? Today, in Carnival Immersion, we take a look at the origins of Carnival, the uprising that made it a true event that has made the celebration what we know today as Trinidad Carnival. Today we delve into a specific character and its creation, how it was instrumental in the past, and how it applies today. Welcome to Carnival Immersion, where you immerse yourself in the mass. What is Can Brûlé or Can Brûlé? Can Brûlé is a French term that means burning of the canes. In the 1700s, during the French occupation, slaves were marched from plantation to plantation to create numbers to effectively harvest the crop of canes. The burning of the canes signified the time at which the crops were harvested. During this time, carnival celebrations occurred for the French plantation owners, and slaves were allowed to watch. Slaves began to mock the French plantation owners to their own chagrin. Slaves were prohibited from participating in festivities with carnival, and this enraged them, as this was their only outlet of silent protests for the many abuses and travesties that occurred during slavery. The slaves used the marches as silent protests against their slave masters. They adopted different costumes such as the Dame Lorraine, Jab Malassi, Baby Doll as characters of sarcasm from plantation life. These characters are still seen today. Even after slavery was abolished, the method of silent mockery of upper classes was used to protest deplorable conditions. This caused a clampdown on festivities as the upper classes deeply resented the portrayals. Bans on drumming, religious freedom, and attempts to eradicate the processions led to violent clashes between the colonists and ex-slaves. Can Brûlé is a depiction of history of the clashes and the perseverance of the newly freed people to persevere to religious and social freedoms. Ida Kida, founded by Perlantu Springer, one of the champions of African history in Trinidad and Tobago, commemorates the struggle of the ancestors with a journey through time, bringing the past to present. The main character of the production is the Pierrot, who is the orator of the proceedings of the procession. He is the voice that explains the journey of the struggle of Can Brûlé. The Carnival Immersion project was pivotal around the Pierrot, as the group Ida Kida sought to commemorate their first post-pandemic presentation with a large Pierrot sculpture to greet visitors at their week-long NALIS exhibition. The request came through lecturer Paulette Alfred, whom arranged facilities for meetings to be conducted with myself and the group for the completion of the project. The first meeting was held at the John Donaldson Institute, where the parameters for the sculpture were given. Research was done on the character after the meeting, and a total of 3 costume plates were sent to the liaison for the group, and selections were chosen for the construction. The materials were sent to the scene shop, and construction began on the piece. The first part of the process began with the transposing of the image from the computer that was generated and approved to a 7-foot board of ply. The piece was drawn by hand and measurements were applied according to scale. The piece was lined out according to the drawings, and exact details were put as to where cutting would begin with the jigsaw. After measurements were double-checked, surface treatments were applied to ensure cohesive application to the board. A backstand was cut and constructed from plywood to ensure the structure would remain upright securely. The structure was 7 feet high. The board was cut to size and excess material was removed. Surface treatments were then reapplied to ensure the integrity of the design was maintained. Due to the thickness of the board, extra support was cut and added to the top and the bottom of the frame to ensure it did not flop over or fall to the sides, as it would be interactive with the public and all safety measures would have to be ensured. Extended pieces were also cut and applied via glue and clamp. Extra pieces were cut and secured to the base for reinforcement. The cutout of plywood was secured to the stand. Once the piece was upright, its painting and decorating began. The paint was applied in layers and other materials were worked upon while the paint dried. Cutouts were made from foam core to be placed on the freestanding foam in the stipulated colors by Idekida. After the paint dried, the cut pieces of foam core were applied to the surface of the character. A pattern was created and each piece was applied by hand. The placement of each piece was done to ensure that the character looked like it was moving. The mask and gloves of the Pierrot were applied, and the figure was tested for quality assurance. Finally, it was ready for installation at site, and surely it was a success. Thank you for joining us on our journey through Carnival Immersion.